Yeah, we are our brother's keepers. And that plays out for everyone differently, but we are our brother's keepers. And so this is my way of, yeah, okay, I can be a part of making sure that at least whatever we got, whatever Navigate's touching, that, yeah, we're doing right by people. Lisa McCarroll, and I'm President and CEO of Navigate Affordable Housing Partners. When I first took the position of CEO, my board chairman gave one phrase: I want to do good. Right there, full stop. It's like, okay, I got this. The core mission of Navigate is fair and equal access to housing. And for us, it plays out in a couple of different ways. But for me personally, it means having a part in giving people in our community, wherever they are, that security of a home. And it's one of those core tenets. If I've got a home, if I've got a safe place, I can kind of deal with everything else. It kind of gives you a landing spot, and that's important just to being a human. What inspired Navigate was that many years ago, HUD encouraged housing authorities to establish nonprofits to sort of advance that housing mission. But in terms of the mission of the organization, it has always been the same, about providing housing for families. What has changed is how that's played out in the community, and the organization has continued to try to be responsive to the needs of the community.
The mission at Navigate is really to provide safe and decent housing for those who need it most. That's critically important in a lot of the communities we're working with, where quality housing is in short supply. And part of our mission is to increase that supply throughout the communities. Navigate has really positioned itself to be a thought leader in the affordable housing space, not only on the contract administration side, but also on the community development side. So we're able to go into neighborhoods and really solve the critical needs that is pressing in that community, whether it be housing or education or catalytic development. Navigate really has the resources that we can invest deeply into communities that need our services. So when Navigate first came into the Titusville community, we really did an assessment of what were those critical needs that the community had. Initially, it was blight elimination. There was years and years of neglect and disinvestment. So by acquiring key properties, really gave us the framework where we could start making positive change in the community. And it wasn't until many years later where we actually started rebuilding a lot of that housing infrastructure back in the community. So one of the key elements that we've really been focusing on is that affordable housing does not necessarily mean cheap housing. That we need to put our tenants and residents in positions of success, and that requires a thoughtful approach to how we develop housing in these communities. So at Navigate, we've had the ability to test different models of housing construction, knowing that affordable housing is a problem that has a tremendous scale to it. They anticipate it's a deficit of 7 million units across the United States. So building 1 and 2 houses isn't really going to make a meaningful impact. So we got to give a better toolbox for how we deploy housing in recovering neighborhoods. Part of that is, how do we effectively and efficiently build housing? At Navigate, our approach is really to build a scalable model that Navigate can use, but also other agencies can use to fulfill their housing needs.
For us, we don't see these techniques and these methods as innovation. It is more about taking a look back to things that have always been in play, but not necessarily applied to an affordable housing community, and saying, what can we take from here and there to sort of create a model that folks can use.
There were a number of trades that just added to not only the expense and complexity of the project, but added to the time. And so our projects would cost us more than we expected and take longer than we expected, just because we were trying to coordinate between so many different trades. And SIPs, structural insulated panels, began to be one of those systems that we explored, because we have an interest in modular. And modular is this big umbrella that just means that there are components that are built off-site that then get assembled on-site. So we began to explore those ideas, like I say, 10, 12 years ago. And it's led us to this conversation with Navigate now around what are the different ways modular can be applied. The advantages of SIPs has to do with, one, the rate at which they can be assembled. We can put a shell together, meaning the floor, walls, and roof, in less than a week. We can put the walls and roofs in a matter of 2 days for a single unit of housing, which when we compare that to conventional framing, it would usually take us about 2 weeks to do the same thing. So there's a speed advantage. But the real benefit has to do with the home ownership, because with the SIP panel, it has a skin of plywood sandwiched around an insulated core. And what that provides is not only a structural integrity, a structural system, but it also creates a great degree of efficiency, thermal efficiency. And so what that means is my HVAC equipment, my heating and cooling equipment for the homes can be much more efficient. And that translates into less cost of ownership, that a resident pays half or less their electricity bill.
One of the things to me personally that really is an indicator of success is seeing the whole neighborhood as a whole, become more active, seeing people back out in the streets, families out using the sidewalks, the parks and everything, using the amenities, seeing kids walking to school. That really is an indicator of success to me. It's just seeing what was once the dilapidated corridor back active, with active rooftops, people congregating on their porches, people out, fellowshipping. And when you come down Fifth Court, Fifth Avenue, you see just that.
One of the things that I think we do well is that we are a team. That, just as a community rises and, together, we have an amazing team at Navigate, and we work well together, and we rely on each other's strengths. And so when someone, when we see that, oh, maybe this is not going to go well, or it won't get the right outcome for the community, we are all very good at locking arms and making the pivot to do right, to fix it, or to make right on something. So we've been lucky, knock on wood, for that, and hopefully we will continue to sort of carry that through all of our other work.
So I think the emotional journey is one of those aspects that I wasn't necessarily prepared for when we started on this. The amount of mountains we had to climb and just hoops we had to jump through was a daily grind on, are we really doing the right thing? This is hard work, what we're doing, and there's a reason why not many people do what we do, because of the challenges, both systematically, economically, all the pressures that keep people from investing in community. So when we're able to kind of come up for air and look around and say, this is the impact that we've made in the last 3, 4, 5, 7 years in this community, that's when you can really see the fruits of the labor and kind of get you over that next hump of how do we work in these communities that really need our help.
It really comes down to doing right by people and customer service. And it sometimes can feel like a lost art. But I hope that is the experience, that if we're out running your critical repair program, that the way you work with Navigate and the experience with any of us, this top down, bottom up, your experience is going to be the exact same. We're going to pay attention, we're going to listen, we're going to respond, we're going to tell you what we can do, we're going to tell you what we can't do, we're going to follow through. Just that simple.